It's the question of the week.
All right. So the question of the week is, what's the best relationship advice you've ever received?
Keeping
Now,
in mind it's a PG-13 show, and Joe has dated like 50 women.
well, okay. Let me just say, there's many types of relationships. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic relationships. You
True.
could have received excellent advice on any kind of relationship.
That's right. Your wife listens to this show, and she doesn't know. I'm sorry.
She knows.
I love to give you grief. So, all right.
Be kind of
Relationship. All
weird
right,
if she
okay.
didn't.
You SongHeart, would you like to jump in? What's your best relationship advice?
I think the best relationship advice I ever got was if everyone is telling you to leave, that you probably should before you get stuck with 10 years of trauma.
Yeah, I could see
That sounds
that.
pretty solid. That sounds like good
Yeah.
relationship advice.
That might
Where did
just be
you
a little
10
bit
years?
personal.
This sounds like a very oddly specific reference. You're talking
Oh, yeah.
about 10 years right there.
Yeah, it might be a little bit personal, but really, I don't know that anyone gave me that advice. It's just something that I realized is like when I met my ex, literally everyone told me it was not a good idea. I can't think of one person that was okay with it. And I just didn't listen, but I was also young and stupid. So, but when literally everyone, even the person's mother, is telling you to leave,
Oh,
you
Yeah?
probably should.
but what that also tells me is you've got great friends who aren't just gonna be like, "Oh, he's great," when he's
yeah.
not.
Yeah, my friends are fantastic, but I was young and stupid. So,
What about you, Joe? What was your best advice?
Communication. Communication is key to any type of relationship, but especially a romantic one. If you don't tell somebody something, don't assume they're gonna pick up on your body language or be able to read your mind. And at least in my personal life, I found several instances where I've tried to let my tone speak for itself, and I've realized how petty that really is. Like I know that I'm in a petty mood when I'm being passive aggressive, and I just need to communicate. And so yeah, communication is key. Are you okay there, Charles? You're very confused.
Well, I tried to figure out where I rank on this level of relationship, because I don't know that you've ever been petty with me, and I'm kind of thinking now that maybe I look more into this relationship than you do.
Because I'm not petty with you?
Yeah, because I hadn't got to that part where you've been petty with me, so therefore,
Or maybe
you didn't
it's
have to really
because
communicate.
we communicate well. Usually we just say what we're thinking. Period. You and I. Like, we've always been that way. We don't have to question where we stand with each other.
There's so many jokes in my head, and it's all hard to pick up on a few of them. It's just a psychic joke. If you don't get it, don't get it. That's okay.
Okay, handsome.
All right. Sorry. Honestly, one of my best pieces of advice I got was from a Reader's Digest, of all things. When I was growing up, I would go see my grandmother, and she had the subscription, and the articles sometimes were good, sometimes weren't, but I always flipped through to read the little anecdotes and the jokes and the little stories that were on the little bottoms of the pages and different things, and I just flipped through. And one of them was it was like this like a counseling group or so. I just remember my childhood had picturing like an AA group, but it was for relationships, and they're young couples and old couples, and that question was asked basically, what do you do? What's a good thing about your relationship? And this old lady stand up and said, well, my wedding day, my mama said to write down the 10 things that you think you need to fix about him, or the 10 things that he does that really, really bothers you. And like, oh, wow. Then how'd that work out? She was, I don't know. I lost the list. And that's been perfectly fine ever since. So it was like the whole idea, because the joke is okay. I mean, Reader's Digest was not great jokes, But the idea was you write down the things that bother you. I mean, not literally, but but if you don't actually keep the list over time, it stops bothering you. And yes, of course, in relationships, you do have to communicate and you have to do work on things, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, the biggest piece of advice I could get or give was don't find the person you can live with, find the person you can live without, can't live without, and that's 23 years of marriage I just hit, so there's that. There were road bumps. I was very, very much not trying to make a joke because that was going to be bad. Joe, for crying out loud,
Roll that dice.
don't let me hang like this and get us in trouble.
Oh,
As you roll, I do want to do. Okay. So, random kid says there's always the cliche: don't go to bed angry because she might stab you in your sleep. Then they say always find moments to say something nice. Say I love you every day, and excuse me, you can miss a day or two, and it actually makes it a little bit more special. But definitely, don't wait till Valentine's Day to do something nice. Don't wait for Christmas. My wife and I, the first year we were dating, that came up on Valentine's Day. We did the standard what you're supposed to do thing and bought each other gifts that were okay. I mean, they weren't like great and forever memories or anything like that. And afterwards, we're like, well, this is kind of cool, but because we'd already been dating for a while, we'd already done little nice things for each other, and we both decided then we're not going to do Valentine's Day because it didn't fit right, it didn't do right, and we found that if you do nice things throughout the year, right, when you see something nice, get them something nice. Joe says I'm the only present my wife needs. It's about time you realize, sir. I hope she realizes what a catch that she has, and she just gets right with Jesus because of it. But yeah, you just do the little things, favorite candies or flowers or just the randomness of it all throughout the year is much better than I hope I get this really cool thing I've been wanting all year for. You better remember me on Valentine's Day. I mean, up and coming as the right guy of podcasting and building the podcast stuff that I do and all my media, there were 2 or 3 years that I was literally at a conference trying to build my brand on our anniversary. And I'm talking about awesome places like Vegas, and she's at home with the kids, so there was that, but it didn't hurt us or break us because we were in it together and we knew we'd celebrate our anniversary when I got back home. And for all those you go, well, she didn't go to Vegas because the kids were little and we didn't have anybody we trust that could watch them and that kind of thing. And we didn't really have the money to go for a vacation. Anyway, go ahead, Joe.
This conversation made me think of something that Mary Robinette Cole said at Chattacon, which wasn't related to relationship advice at all, but I'm going to spin it that way. She talked about different things in her life that were hiccups that she hated to do and how she would hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And so
marry somebody to do the jobs you don't want to do.
Well, I mean, you could go that way, but I was just thinking you can find stuff that your spouse hates to do, and you could go out of your way to do that as an expression of love, showing them. So,
yep. And I know I thought we were running out of steam, and then we picked up more steam. Thank you, random kid, for steaming us up there. That didn't come out right at all.